Good. Okay, good morning, everyone. My name is Lisa Naledi Fraser, and I am a mental health therapist who loves to see people grow, who loves to see people become better, and who loves to educate for the purposes of hopefully passing on the education as well as people becoming or thriving to the best of their abilities. My topic today is going to be on emotional intelligence because I think that it's a very important topic as the world keeps changing, as the world keeps going through pandemic after pandemic, as we become global citizens. Because one thing Toastmasters has taught me is that at any point you could be in any country just from the click of a button. And already having that intelligence allows you to then be able to thrive and to communicate effectively with people that you wouldn't otherwise have met despite the circumstances. Okay, I will ask my Zoom master, please, to start my slides and go to slide 3. Okay, thank you. So when we look at emotional intelligence, we'll look at essentially those 4 key points: perceiving emotions, understanding emotions, managing emotions, as well as using emotions. So perception is usually our first thing that happens when we see something. So in order for you to see that on this slide, there's circles, already that's your perception working for you. In order for you to see that on the right, there is a blue column that says, what does this mean to you? Already is your brain or your mind perceiving something as something that it knows. So perception of emotions is joined by understanding emotions. So in order for you to then perceive, okay, when I see this person or when I'm like this, I understand that this person is sad or happy or mentally not well, right? So perception comes with understanding. Understanding is knowing, okay, when this is like this is what it means, essentially. So when I see that a person is frowning, I know ultimately it doesn't mean that they're happy. They may just be sad, right? And then comes using emotions. So emotional intelligence really bases the premise that you need to know what these emotions are, and you need to be able to use these emotions effectively. Because you can know that you're sad, but it's not always that the things that you interact with are the things that are making you angry or sad, right? Sometimes it's something else that has nothing to do with the things of that day that has really made you sad or angry. And then we look at managing emotions. Managing emotions comes in now. Okay, you woke up this morning, you were quite sad because maybe you had an argument the previous day with your partner or anyone in your family. And then you get to work, and learning how to manage these emotions is not being angry or being triggered or showing the anger that comes from home and showing it in the workplace or within your colleagues. Because it may just be that Lisa pissed you off on that day, but it's not always Leah's fault or somebody else's fault that you're feeling that way. So they don't deserve to be treated the way that you should be treating Lisa. Okay, next slide, please. So emotional intelligence is exactly that: the ability to understand, manage your own emotions and those of the people around you. And people who have a high degree of emotional intelligence know what they're feeling, what their emotions mean, and how these emotions can affect other people. I think it's self-explanatory. Looking at the circle, you know how you're feeling, right? You know what this means, and you know how these emotions can affect other people. It doesn't mean when you get into the office or when you get to school, when you get to any other situation or institution, now everyone must feel the wrath of your fury. Because when you understand yourself and you understand these emotions, you're better able to understand how to use them effectively within certain situations. Next slide, please. So I thought that it's important for me to also touch a little bit on mental health. So the definition of mental health, according to the World Health Organization, is a state of well-being when individual realizes their own abilities and they're able to cope with the normal stresses of life and can work productively and fruitfully and able to make a contribution to their community. So you find that generally in life, there'll always be stresses, things that get us stressed. For some people, these stresses can then lead to mental illnesses. And mental illnesses are mental health challenges that can happen to anyone at any given point. I think a very good example is what happened with COVID. A lot of people had a heightened level of anxiety because of the looming fact that COVID can be spread around as it was in the beginning. So already when they're presented in therapy, they come as clients with anxiety. However, this is just this is a stressor in life that ultimately led to a mental health challenge. And I like to use physical health as well as an example, just to help you fully understand what exactly mental health is. When we look at physical health, we look at our ability to either exercise, go up a flight of stairs without getting tired, being able to participate fully and productively in society by whether it's walking, your lung capacity, whatever it is. And then when we look at physical health, physical illnesses rather, we look at those things that take away your ability to contribute physically to your everyday. And that's how I tend to look at mental health in relation to physical health, because I know it can be a little bit difficult to understand what exactly mental health and mental health issues and all this jargon really, really means. Okay, next slide, please. I'm going to look at 5 components within emotional intelligence. These 5 components are self-awareness, self-regulation, empathy, motivation, as well as social skills. And then after I look at these, I'll take some time, maybe just a minute, to take any questions, or if I've lost you, just feel free to raise your hand and let me know. Okay, next slide, please, Leah. So when we look at self-awareness, we're looking at knowing yourself. So do you always know how you feel? Do you know how your emotions and your actions can affect the people around you? Not having a clear picture of who you are does not allow you to effectively contribute to society. Remember when I first started, I said, sometimes you're sad. Yes, you're sad. We recognize that you're sad, but you're not exactly sure what makes or what's triggering this sadness. So ultimately, everyone should feel that you're sad because they should know that you're sad, right? However, when you're self-aware, you get a clearer picture of your strengths and your weaknesses. And you're better able to sit down and talk to yourself and ask yourself, okay, today I'm sad. If I take an inventory, what happened yesterday that has made me sad? Or what happened this morning that made me sad? Or what happened 2 months ago that may have triggered this sadness? Because when you're unable to get a clearer picture, you're unable to know what it is that you should be dealing with. Remember in our little circle diagram, knowing, understanding, perception are very important. So understanding yourself, getting to that point where you can say, okay, Lisa, today you're happy. Why are you happy? Okay, I guess you got the promotion or things are going right at work or whatever it is. Understanding this and being self-aware, knowing about your emotions at a particular time allows you to know where your strengths and your weaknesses are. And it allows you to behave with humility. Humility is exactly that. Being able to understand yourself allows you to be able to open the door to understanding other people. Because many times we tend to ignore how other people feel because we only recognize how we feel. So it's important that I recognize how I feel. I'm sad, so you should ultimately all be sad. But having humility allows you to be kinder to yourself, to sit down with yourself, analyze why you're sad, and then see what you can do about that sadness. Where now comes self-regulation. So self-regulation is exactly that. It's basically self-control, being able to use your emotions effectively. If you know that you're sad or you're angry, you don't necessarily take it out on the other people that you live with because you feel like, they need to understand. And leaders who regulate themselves effectively, they rarely have verbal attacks, right? Where one day you go into somebody's office, they're open, honest, and willing to listen to you. The next day, this person is just shouting and is all over the office, and you have no clue who you're going to get on that particular day because you're not sure what exactly do I need to do that won't make this person angry, right? And it allows you not to make rushed emotional decisions. It allows you not to stereotype people. Remember, having humility means that I understand that not everyone knows what I know. I am angry at this point because maybe Lisa does not understand what it means when I say I would like this thing delivered at 2 p.m. But it's talking to Lisa. Okay, Lisa, look, I wanted this thing at 2 p.m. And I'm not going to say you're a lazy person or to shout at you for anything else, but can we please talk about it and see how we can make this work for the two of us? And there comes in not compromising your values. Because at the end of the day, if you're a leader, you need your results met. So how can we work together to make sure that we guide each other through making sure that this thing is done, right? And then it allows you to also be personally accountable. Now, I'll talk about this in the next few slides. So might please have the next slide. And then we look at motivation. Motivation is exactly that, self-explanatory, working consistently through your goals and having extremely high standards for the quality of your work. And motivation allows you to be a little more optimistic. Yeah, sure, not everyone understands where I come from or how I see things, but I can always allow myself to hear their story, to hear what they say, and then we can effectively see how we can deal with this. And then having empathy. In order for you to manage a successful team, you need to have empathy. Now, empathy means having the ability to put yourself in someone else's situation. Now, I want to differentiate empathy from sympathy because sympathy is feeling that person's emotions, basically putting yourself in someone else's shoes. But here, empathy is different because you may not be able to feel what they feel because not everyone can feel the way you're feeling, right? However, having empathy allows you to be able to say, okay, previously today, let me give an example. Before today, highly likely, the 18 of us did not know much about emotional intelligence. Yeah, we knew it as a concept, or we knew when people talked about it. But because Lisa has given us this expert analysis into what emotional intelligence means that now we can be able to practice it in our society. Same goes for the people who are not here today. Think about all the 100 people who did not have the opportunity or don't have the opportunity to learn about emotional intelligence. We can't expect them to be emotionally intelligent because they as well need to be able to be aware of this information. Because many times we go around the world feeling the way that we feel, and that's just how it is. That's just life in general. We feel the way that we want to feel. But having empathy for people is understanding that they don't know what you know. So it's important for you to award them that empathy, being a little more optimistic that maybe I can just sit Lisa down and we talk about emotional intelligence, and then me and her can fully understand where the other one comes from, or this concept of, this concept of living with each other. Okay, next slide, Leah. And then we get into the social skills. Now, the social skills bring that conflict resolution aspect. As leaders in our various platforms, at home, at work, in church, wherever it may be, whatever you believe in, social skills are important because they allow you to be a great communicator, right? Have you ever had a conversation where someone says, look, I didn't like that thing that you did on Tuesday? And then you're left wondering, wait, what happened on Tuesday? Is it because I bought coffee and I didn't buy them coffee? No. Wait, is it because I didn't say hi to them when I got into the office? No. And then when you ask and fully want to understand what it is that you did on Tuesday, you understand that, oh, it's because you didn't say hi to me when we passed in traffic, right? Because maybe it's because that day you were really just focused on the road. You really just wanted to get to work, or you were listening to something that had your attention. But when you fully understand and communicate and fully want to get meaning or in-depth meaning into what the person is saying, it allows you to then communicate or know what to deal with. Because it allows you also not to have those implied messages, because you go on thinking about the things that you may have not done for that person. When actual fact is just that you didn't say hi to them in traffic, something that's easily solvable. And you realize that most of the problems that we have are not because we are unable to solve them. It's because we are unable to communicate effectively as to what it is that has made us angry or upset. So having good problem solving skills is where you seek understanding. Look, how can we make this work? And if it's between two colleagues, you learn to listen between the two. Okay, Lisa, so-and-so says that this is how you made them feel because this is what happened. So-and-so, please let us know in depth what exactly that means to you. And then you can also then turn the page and say, okay, what if Lisa just really didn't see you in traffic that day? Because you realize that when you seek understanding, it allows you to not always fight over the smallest trivial things. Because you may realize that on Tuesday, we're fighting about you didn't say hi to me in traffic. And then on Thursday, we're fighting about the fact that you never listen to me when I say I want something at 2 p.m., right? And it implies or leaves a message that me and Lisa cannot get along because Lisa never listens, does not pay attention. But we never brought it to our attention. We never communicated effectively. So we've left implied messages and we've left implied meanings towards what we really want to say. So those social skills allow us to communicate effectively and allow us to be more open to hearing the things that we really wouldn't want to hear. Okay, next slide, Leah. I don't know if I have a question or comment before I continue. I don't want to lose anyone. If I've said a big word, please stop me and ask me so that I can be able to clarify. Okay, I hear a very quiet room. Okay. So the next slide is on why it matters. I won't go much into it because I think I have when I talked about conflict as well as the situation, being aware of your situation, that just because I'm angry today is not because everyone else makes me angry, but I need to work on myself in order for me to fully participate at work, at school, at home, wherever it may be. Conflict resolution, hearing both sides of the story and also owning our own communication. How do I communicate effectively what I need and what I want in the workplace? And how do I also accommodate somebody else to do the same? And then it allows you to develop mental strength. So remember I talked about physical health and physical illness. And now we talk about physical strength. When we talk about physical strength, we talk about flexing that muscle. Like, let's say I want to have a certain type of fitness level. I flex that fitness, that physical muscle that allows me to have that physical fitness, right? So the same goes for having mental strength, because you're better able to manage your emotions. You're better able to manage any type of illness that you may be living with, or any type of mental health challenge that you're living with, and you're able to do it without the fear of stigma. Because a lot of the times, because already mental health is a very touchy subject that we're unsure how to navigate, it allows us to own who we are, to own how we feel. Because when you know that, okay, I'm a person living with depression, for example, I know on that day I may not be up for it, and I can communicate with all my closest colleagues that, look, today I may not be in the greatest mood, but because we own it and we know that, we're able to communicate our needs with the people around us, as well as effectively live with them to a point where they don't feel, oh, today you didn't talk to me, why? I can better then say, look, my triggers are just having me, I just need some time away from the group to gather my thoughts, whether it's during lunch or whether it's during a break of some sort. Okay, next slide, please, Leah. Now, I want us to look at these 3 points. I don't need you to tell me. I just want you to do a self-reflection. How not being emotionally intelligent can look like. Do you tend to have a lot of irrational emotions, constant outbursts? Are you always triggered? I want you to ask yourself these 3 questions on your own time, because I think these are the key concepts or the ideas that can give you pointing you towards the right direction. So these are just your own thoughts. Do you ever have irrational emotions or any constant outbursts, or are you always triggered? And always triggered is just that there's always a negative emotion ready to come out whenever something happens. Even if someone presents something that is good, there's always something negative waiting to be fired from you. Okay, next slide, please, Leah. So who it matters to, yourself and your family. I use these as 2 very permanent partners because no one can ever take these away from you. No one can take yourself away from you, and no one can take your family away from you. In the sense that when you understand yourself, you know how to overcome your traumas. Your traumas are the things that you're dealing with that no one else knows about. You're able to make more conscious decisions. Sometimes we make decisions not because we want to make them, but because there's an emotion, that sadness that's driving you to make that emotion or that decision, You become your most authentic self. Your most authentic self is who you really, really are. One of the biggest things about emotional intelligence is it allows you to own up to the things that are you, right? Because remember I said, go on a reflection journey. Many times we never do reflection journeys because it's easier, I guess, to just, not do it or not think about the negative. But when you know and you own up to who you are, you're better able to become a better person, not for anyone else, but for yourself. And I always say that it's important to look at every situation where there's a constant. So work is not going right. There's one constant, that is you. Things are not going right at home. There's one constant, that is you. How you react to those things is what you should look at, because there will always be stresses, like I had said in the beginning, regardless of whatever situation that we go through. And then your mental health. Back again to the previous slide. When you're aware, when you know yourself, you're better able to deal with the way that you feel and your mental health, your overall outlook on life. And then the family, you're always an active role player within the family. Whatever position you play, whether it's a leader, whether it's a mother, a father, whether it's a child, or whether it's a cousin, you are always an active role player within your family. So it's important that you don't forget that in as much as you're trying to change yourself, looking after yourself, you also have to look after the people that you live with to ensure that you're not really stepping on anyone's toes at any given time. Okay, next slide, please, Leah. I saw this quote and I really fell in love with it. It's what Will Smith once said in one of his interviews, where he said, you need to be able to withstand someone else's truth. So sometimes, like I said, we go through life not doing reflections. It's always, Lisa has done this to me, Will has done this to me, and we never want to sit down and listen. Okay, look, we are not perfect. There's things that we are going to err. There's situations that we're going to go through that we may not have done right. But how do we fix it? We sit down, we stomach it. I call it the hard pill to swallow. We stomach those hard pills to swallow. We sit down and we listen, because highly likely we also want the same to be done for us. So before you can be able to go and listen to somebody else owning what you have done to them, you need to then look at yourself first and say, okay, take a deep breath take what you need to take. If you need to drink water after every point, do that. Okay, next slide, please, Leah. And the next one again. Okay. So how do we become emotionally intelligent? I'm going to focus on these two, even though the next slide has others, but I think these are the most two important things that you need to focus on. You hold yourself accountable. Is it always somebody else's fault? Do you tend to blame others when something goes wrong? If you do any one of these two things, I urge you to stop. Because when you make it a commitment to admit to your mistake and you face the consequences that come with it, you'll probably sleep better at night. And you'll most probably earn the respect of those around you. Holding yourself accountable is a very important tool that majority of us need to learn. The first step is doing a reflection. Yesterday, I was angry. I may have said 1, 2, 3 to a coworker. I may have said 1, 2, 3 to my daughter, my son. How do I fix it? What did I say? What triggered it? And how do I move forward? If you need to apologize to these people, apologize and learn how to do it better and become better. You practice being calm and slow down. When you are in a challenging situation, our judgment tends to be clouded, not because we don't know what to do, but because we are so heightened and our brain organically just clouds or fogs up. If you're in a challenging situation, you can sit down, write the situation down, write the negative emotions that it makes you feel, and see how you can move forward with those emotions. Now, I want you to notice something. I just use a strategy from the first point. You have to be more self-aware, right? You have to recognize this emotion. I'm perceiving this situation as challenging because of my own perception of how I get when I'm flustered. Okay, now how do I move from this? I need to learn how to manage it. How do I manage it? Okay, if I'm being stressed by the fact that I have a deadline to meet at 2 and I'm still on introduction, then it means that I highly likely need to sit down and write my introduction, right? And this does not give me room for when a coworker comes and says, hi, I need this to be done by 5 p.m. I don't necessarily just take it on because I know I still have something to do. So I may sit down and say, okay, is it possible for me to hand this or submit this tomorrow because I have a deadline that I need to meet at 2 p.m. that I'm not done with? Now, I also want you to notice what I did there. What I did is I effectively communicated. I am unable to do what you want me to do at this particular point in time because I still have something else that I need to finish. Now, what I did not say was, oh, no, sorry, I can't do that because I'm still working on something. It's vague and it does not communicate effectively. That breeds room for what? Conflict. Because now the person would feel, okay, as my subordinate, you are not listening to me, or as my colleague, you don't want to work effectively with me. So when you communicate, people know what to expect. They know what you can and can't do. And you also learn how to manage your own emotions whenever you get flustered, right? And then the last thing, remember, no matter what the situation is, you can always choose how you react to it. That thing that I said about everything else around you, you are the one constant around you. All these people are revolving around you. You always have a choice on how you react to it, even if someone has done something wrong to you. Now, I'm not saying that people are right or justified for what they're doing, but what I'm saying is you have a choice on how to react to it. Okay, next slide, please, Leah. Okay, so I think we still have about 10 minutes. Okay, good. I'm going to just pick 2 of these, which I think will be very, very important tools for you to learn, as well as know how or when you are not being emotionally intelligent. You can pay attention to your body language. You know, sometimes we listen to people and we're not really listening. Later on, your body changes, you cross your arms, you move your feet back and forth. And I think if you've been in Toastmasters for a while, you've noticed that body language is very important. When you're putting a point across, you want to move through points that will effectively put your point across, right? Because if you kick your legs, that's already a distraction. The person is not listening. But when people see that your body language is attentive, this tells them that you are engaged in what they're saying and what you're giving, or the message that you're portraying, is positive. This is a true asset in any leadership role, because you'll be able to really see how someone feels and you'll be able to get more out of the person. I want you from today to give yourself a little exercise. From here on, I want you to go and talk to someone that you know, who's in your family, co-worker, whatever it is. And I want you to listen to them openly, right? And ask them questions. Okay, so if they say, today I was feeling sad, your further questions could be, okay, what was making you feel sad? And you go in, okay, Leah, please stop the slide so that I can show something through my body language. Okay, so I hope we can all see me. Okay, so if someone is speaking to you and they're doing this, so imagine I was giving a presentation. Yeah, so body language is, being able to be emotionally intelligent. I was looking at my nails and doing all that. You don't feel appreciated. However, if I looked at you, okay, let's say we're on a video call. Okay, you were feeling sad today. What exactly was making you feel sad? Already I'm engaging you because I'm looking directly at you. Okay, so it's because there was traffic today. How does traffic make you feel generally? Already I am opening up the person's heart to me, listening and effectively communicating with them. They also feel like they can do the same. And because human beings, I'm going to tell you a secret. Human beings tend to act the way that we want them to do. So we mirror on each other's feelings, right? And emotions. So if I came to them and said, look, today I'm the expert, none of you know anything, emotional intelligence, do this, highly likely none of you are going to still be in this room today. However, because I said, okay, I want you to become better. I want you to learn about emotional intelligence. Majority of you are listening, noting things down, maybe reflecting, going, okay, on Tuesday, I may not have done something right. It's because I'm allowing you the platform to fully give yourselves and to fully reflect on what it is that I'm saying. Okay. And then it allows you to, being able to improve your communication skills. Remember the examples I've been giving. If you don't understand something, do not give room for implied messages. Implied messages are those things where, okay, maybe Lisa means this when she means that. Those are implied messages. However, listening to a person for what they say, if you do not understand, seek clarity, because this will allow you to not always be in conflict with a person, because now you're thinking for them or thinking what they mean when they're like, no, but that's not what I meant. I just meant that we should do it this way, not that way. And you're like, oh, I see. Because we didn't have the time to seek understanding and to want to learn or to hear what they were saying, not necessarily what we think they were saying. And then the last one, we need to learn how to praise others. As a leader, giving praise allows for loyalty to be given. Like I said, human beings are easy, but we're complicated and complex at the same time. Learning to praise others, it's a good job that today you are able to do this thing for me that I'd asked you. Allows the person to also want to give something to you. Okay, I started my discussion and I said, I want you to become a better person. I did not say, I know that you are not doing well in your situation, so I want you to learn how to do well. No. I said, I want you to become a better person to hopefully learn and pass it on. Now, I've already used those words that show you that, okay, she's open. She wants me to know something. She wants me to hopefully become emotionally intelligent. And she wants me to teach other people what it means. I've done 3 of those things by just one statement, a positive statement. So it's important that as a leader, you learn how to praise others, especially children, because children between the ages of 0 to 5 years old, that's where you can do the most damage or the most good. So learn how to do some of these skills with them, and you realize that your children as well have those amazing skills that can allow them or propel them to move forward and become better people. Okay. Leah, please start the slide share again and then go to the last slide. Okay. So on the last slide, last slide, yeah. This slide is exactly everything I was talking about today. Your mind, your brain, everything is linked to the heart. Emotional intelligence is exactly that. It's a balance between the mind and the heart. Learning how to connect with people in order for them to become better, but also feel like they're appreciated and wanted. I thank you very much for listening. We have 3 minutes. If anyone has a question or they would like me to go back to a point, now is your chance to do so. Okay. I know it may not be easy to understand everything all at once, but hopefully you can pick a little points here and there or pointers here and there where you can then say, okay, what can I work on tomorrow that has not made me such a great human being so far? Because we're all great in our own aspect, but there's certain points where other people can show us where we may have not done such an amazing job at communicating or being great colleagues.
We have a hand. Kundai,
Okay.
you can go ahead.
Hi, Lisa. Thank you very much for an insightful session. I feel like I was in therapy. But my question is on the 5 components of emotional intelligence, and one of them is motivation. I think lately it's something I've been struggling with. And one of the main points was that a sign of it is being a little more optimistic. So when I see a shift in that, does it mean that my mental health is affected in some way? And also, second question, do you have any books that you would say are the best in terms of emotional intelligence if you like reading, like, of course, yeah, or any resources on emotional intelligence?
Yeah, our room is going to close in a little bit, but I definitely do have some books to recommend. So please just find me on any social media platform, Facebook or such, under Lisa Fraser, and then I will recommend and answer your question. Is that fine?
Yes, that's fine. Thank you.
Sorry about that, the bell. Yeah. Okay. So with that said, I think we don't have anything else. I thank you all for listening, and I will see you guys in the main room.